and welcome to another edition of Know Your History. I'm Mr. Ben, and seated next to me, back by popular demand, is Mrs. Ben. Today we're going to be continuing our discussion of military terms that have become common English expressions. So it's the same format that we used last time, Stanley. You'll recall. I'll give you the term, and then you try to define its origin. Got that, Stanley? The first term is Blockbuster.
Oh, are we going to the movies, Ollie?
No, we're not going to the movies, Stanley. Not during a pandemic.
We didn't go before the pandemic.
Be that as it may, Blockbuster actually comes from World War II when Allied planes would drop bombs over Nazi Germany. And some of the bombs were big enough, when dropped on a city, to take out a whole block. Hence the name Blockbuster, Stanley. Let's try this one. Bite the bullet.
Well, that's what you say when my sister's coming to visit. We'll just have to bite the bullet.
Yes, I suppose that's true. However, the meaning comes from the 18th century when a soldier would be tearing a paper cartridge open with his teeth. You see, they were issued paper cartridges that contained a 75 caliber musket ball and 100 grains of black powder, which they would load into their muskets. Now, Stanley, some people erroneously think that bite the bullet means that a soldier undergoing surgery would need to, without anesthesia, would need to bite down on a bullet in order to suppress the pain. Now, that would be a terrible thing for a surgeon to give a soldier, because he could swallow the bullet, or at the very least, or break his teeth. Not a good thing either.
I don't want to bite the bullet, Ollie.
No, none of us do want to bite the bullet. You'll recognize this term, Stanley. I'm sure. Deadline.
That reminds me, Ollie. I don't think we paid last month's electric bill.
Well, this could be a very short video, Stanley. Actually, the term deadline comes from the Civil War and the infamous prison called Andersonville, where the Union prisoners, were held in a wooden stockade, and they had something called the deadline. And if a soldier came too close to the stockade walls and passed the deadline, the sentries mounted on the ramparts would fire down and shoot to kill. That's what's known as crossing the deadline.
They shoot you if you don't make your deadline? We better hurry up and pay that electric bill.
Stanley, pull yourself together. Nobody's shooting anybody yet. Okay, how about this one? Don't hit the panic button.
Well, that's what you do when the Eagles lose a game. You hit the panic button.
I don't panic, Stanley. Get upset sometimes, but I never panic.
Are you getting upset now?
A little. Actually, don't hit the panic button comes from World War II, when Allied planes dropping bombs over Japan and Nazi Germany, and flying in a plane such as this B-24 Liberator, they had an alarm system that the pilot could press if the plane was going down, and the 8 to 10 crew members would have to bail out. The pilot would press the panic button. But because these planes could sustain a lot of damage, you didn't want to hit the panic button too soon and have everybody jump out over enemy territory and perhaps become prisoners of war. So you don't want to hit the panic button too soon.
You know, Ollie, I kind of think we need a panic button for you.
What are you saying, Stanley? Next term. Freelance. What does that mean, Stanley? What's the origin of freelance? Think hard.
I don't know. I remember, when you lost your job one time and you had to work for different companies, you really didn't make that much money.
We managed, Stanley. Actually, what it means is a soldier, a knight errant, riding about the countryside would sell his lance to the highest bidder, but he had no firm allegiance to any feudal lord. He would fight for the highest bidder. So he was operating freelance.
I could use a lance like that.
Let's go on. Try this one for size. Half-cocked, as in don't go off half-cocked.
Oh, Ollie, you always go off half-cocked.
Stanley, that's ridiculous. What it really means, where the origin of the term comes from the 18th century muskets, where this part of the musket, also known as the hammer, was called the cock. And when you pull back the cock to half-cock position, your musket won't fire. It's a safety feature. Your musket will only fire at full cock when you pull the trigger. So you want to have all your facts aligned. You don't want to go off half-cocked. You understand, Stanley? Okay. How about this? Loose cannon.
Ollie, I thought you said we weren't going to discuss any politics.
We're not. A loose cannon simply refers to, in the age of sail, when you had an 8,000-pound cannon on the ship's deck, you wouldn't want that baby rolling around during a storm. You'd want to have the cannon fastened down securely, because it could cause a lot of damage, a loose cannon. Okay. How about this one? It's not exactly a military term, Stanley, but I'll give you a hint. It comes from the sporting world. And we're talking about the real McCoy.
Are we talking about one of your old girlfriends? I seem to remember a certain young lady named McCoy.
That was a long time ago, Stanley. No, I'm talking about this McCoy. Kid McCoy, a boxer from the 1880s who was a professional pugilist. And the story goes that he walked into a bar in Chicago one time and a local tough guy didn't believe that he was Kid McCoy. So when he questioned him, Kid McCoy gave him a straight right or a right cross or one of those. And when he came to, he woke up and he said, well, I guess he really was the real McCoy. How about this? Shoddy.
Ollie, you know I never indulge in mixed drinks. I don't touch the stuff.
Stanley, what are you talking about? Shoddy doesn't have anything to do with drinking. It has to do with inferior quality materials like the profiteering contractors sold to the Union Army during the Civil War. The uniforms looked good until it rained, and then they promptly fell apart because they were made of such shoddy material.
Not gonna rain today, is it?
No.
Oh.
It's not going to rain in here. All right, well, you really haven't done very well. I'm going to give you one last chance.
Okay.
So, pull yourself together. Pay attention. Okay, how about this? Right-hand man.
I don't know. Can a right-hand man be left-handed?
Well, I suppose so.
Can a right-hand man be a woman?
No, Stanley, of course not.
Well, I think that's sexist.
Oh, this is another fine mess you've gotten me into, Stanley. Right-hand man simply means during the 18th century or 17th century, you put your best man on the far end of the line on the right-hand side because the commander would be on the left side. So he had to know the commands and keep the other troopers in line. That's why you always want your best man to be your right-hand man.
I'm sorry, Ollie, but you know what? I'll always be your right-hand man.
Very touching, Stanley. Well, that's all we have time for today, folks. Please join us again for another edition of Know Your History. And in the meantime, say goodbye, Stanley.
Goodbye, Stanley.